Hi everyone! We're here in the underground chamber for the 6th chapter mission. Claude is absent for story reasons, so our new recruits fill the hole he leaves behind. Every one of my original Golden Deer members has promoted to Armored Knight, and to their actual intended intermediate class. This brings a nice movement boost to most of them, particularly Hilda, our first flyer. And my mages benefit from the mage class's innate fire spell, which makes both Lysithea and Marianne a lot more accurate. I'm putting all 3 of my new recruits into their beginner classes to pick up those mobility arts and stat +2 abilities. Petra and Ferdinand are adjutants, and even though Petra is in Myrmidon, she's still using a bow. While she might want more sword ranks later, qualifying for archer is a more pressing concern, and she does have a strength in bows to help her out. I really like this map, which might seem strange because at first glance it's a lot like the Miklon mission. The boss is holed up in a central room, and you're meant to march all the way around the map to reach him. However, this map has a lot more going for it. There's an element of choice in that you can plow through many more enemies on the western path, or you can go through the labyrinth on the eastern side, which is slower but offers more rewards. Or you can do both, which makes the movement on this map really engaging. There also aren't so many gotchas. There are only 3 reinforcements, and because of the way their trigger works, it's not hard to make sure they can't kill anyone when they appear. Not only are there 2 chests, one with a Levin sword and another with the only March ring, there are also 2 enemy mages holding magic staves that you can steal. These things are badly underappreciated, since 3 magical attack is a pretty sizable chunk for this point in the game. Since I'm only deploying 1 thief, Ignatz, one of the puzzles for me to solve will be how to move him around to get both staves in a timely fashion. Once you open the door to the Death Knight's chamber, you more or less have to finish on that turn, or else someone is probably risking death when he attacks. That means Ignatz has to go into the far northern room, then reunite with the team before we face the boss.
Professor?
As usual, we start with the stride. Everyone but Byleth and Hilda is covered, and with Leone moving in to support him, Byleth is close enough to land his Blaze Gambit against 4 different enemies. With a combination of the freeze effect and the AoE damage, it'll be easy for my other units to break the western pack apart.
Leave it to me.
Lysithea can finish off the wounded Armored Knight in 1 hit, reaching level 11 and earning C+ Reason. I want her to have B in that skill by the time we do the Chapter 8 mission.
I got this.
After that, Raphael kills the rattled archer. I have him use Rushing Blow. That's about manipulating enemy positions. I would like for anyone who survives my turn to end up close to the middle of the room, so that I can kill them on my way up north without slowing down. Balthus, for his part, uses a combat art specifically so he doesn't kill the archer, whom Lawrence finishes off. While Balthus needs class XP, I'd rather give kills to other people who can get intermediate class growths. Only 4 of my 10 units are going east. They all have a specific role to play. Marianne will provide healing support through the maze over here with Physic. Hilda has both Flight and the Repositioned Combat Art, a combination that enables a neat trick here in a little bit. Cyril is an archer, so he's able to fight the archers on this side on enemy phase. And Ignatz is a thief with lockpicking and stealing capabilities, who also has Shove. That last matters right now. With Shove, Ignatz can move Cyril into the closest archer's range on turn 1. The 2 remaining frozen enemies are forced to fight and die against the units next to them. That's why I didn't have to deal with them on my turn. I took out 2 archers because they could attack me without retribution, and Lysithea picked off an Armored Knight to open up a path, but I was able to leave the soldier and the Myrmidon alone.
Too slow.
Now I want to finish off the soldier and the archer here, but I also want to move far enough north to activate the enemies in the next room. Leone has the movement to get up there, and so does Raphael, but I really don't want Raphael to face 2 mages. Here's a solution. I make Lysithea draw Byleth west 1 space. Then, after Raphael kills the soldier, Byleth will be able to run up next to Leone. There, he can switch Leone to a training lance and equip his bow. The bow lets him one-round both mages, and it prevents him from counterattacking the closest Armored Knight. That's good, because once again it forces the Armored Knight to attack with an axe, not with a gambit. Leonie, for her part, does 0 damage to the armor knight that can hit her, so that one also forgoes his gambit. Because Cyril fought him on enemy phase, Hilda was able to kill this archer with her own bow. Then Canto let her continue moving for one more square. With Cyril out of the way, Marianne runs past Ignatz and draws him back. This effectively gives Ignatz one more tile of movement, and Marianne gets one too. With that extra tile, Ignatz can now shove Cyril one more space. I have to bust through a pair of armored knights now. For Lysithea, that's no trouble at all, but I'd like Lawrence to move a little farther forward, so I don't want to have him kill the other knight.
Be mindful.
After Byleth switches weapons to provide a linked attack bonus, Balthus uses Helm Splitter to soften the knight up. Now Byleth advances. On this avoid tile, he's very likely to dodge the soldier's attack, but it's okay if he doesn't. He'll get plenty of healing later. With the Professor out of the way, Raphael can kill with Rushing Blow once again. That movement boost allows him to also provide a link bonus against the Myrmidon. Lawrence hands his door key to Raphael, who will need it in a little bit. The Myrmidon is on an avoid tile too, but that doesn't affect magic, so Lawrence is able to deal hefty damage, enough for Leonie to kill with Night Kneeler on her training lance. Taking the time to change Byleth's weapon adds a link bonus that maximizes her accuracy. Over on the east side, Cyril now has enough movement to reach the next archer this turn, thanks to Ignatz's second shove. On this run, Cyril has gotten a little lucky to avoid both attacks so far. If the first one had hit him, he could have healed himself with the Vulnerary on turn 2. Right now, Ignatz chooses not to use his full movement. That's because his teammates can help him even more from here. With another drawback from Marianne, Hilda can fly far enough to reposition Ignatz onto the warp tile, one space farther than he could have walked by himself. By killing this archer, Cyril collects a door key of his own. It's very convenient. Lysithea is just close enough to patch Byleth up. Leonie can spend this turn taking a potshot at a mage across the wall, then retreating toward the team. That allows Lawrence to heal her up as well.
So nice of you.
Stay focused.
Byleth equips the Iron Sword so that he does less damage, making the knight on the other side use an axe against him. Raphael runs up as well. He needs his door key for more gate opening duties in a little bit. If I had forgotten to make Lawrence hand it over, Raphael could now pull a spare from a convoy, the one Hilda got on turn 2. Balthus has a free turn with which to heal himself if necessary. Using the door key he just got, Cyril opens this door. After that, Ignatz warps. Once again, he uses just 4 movement points to stop at this specific spot. So he didn't actually need the extra movement last turn. He could have stood one space above the warp tile. Except that Hilda needed to be at that position. With her 6 movement, she can fly over the one crumbled bit of wall here, and then she can reposition Ignatz to the other side. This is an example of how powerful reposition can be on flyers, even compared to Smite. You can't smite people through obstacles, but you can reposition over them. Once again, it's Balthus coming in to bust up an armor. He'll also draw fire from the archer here, forcing him into a position where I can kill him next turn.
I got this.
Raphael kills and receives a chest key. I have no use for a chest key over here, so I need to send that thing east. To accomplish that, Lysithea trades it across from Raphael to Leonie, then uses Warp for the very first time to send Leonie 5 tiles to the southeast. What? It matters. Byleth gains strength on his last level, so he can kill this mage with the training bow, but otherwise he'd have to use iron. I'd go ahead and do that for consistency. This heal represents one last chance to give Raphael a door key if I haven't done that already. Even if he hadn't dodged anything so far, this physic from Marianne would make Cyril healthy enough to fight across the wall this coming enemy phase. He takes a free shot at the stationary dark mage while waiting in range of another mage and an archer. Thanks to my movement shenanigans on both sides of the map, I'm now ready to break into the control room in the northeast corner. From the west, Leone can warp in. As the first unit in, she triggers the spawning of 2 cavaliers and an archer. Because Hilda pulled him over the wall, Ignatz can now reach the door and open it, and Hilda can fly past him afterward. The archer forces her to dismount while she repositions Ignatz forward another 2 tiles. My objective right now is to get Ignatz into the southern treasure room, the one with the Levin sword, in 2 turns. For that to happen, I need to clear out any enemies who stand in his way next turn. Leone can help by softening up the archer right now. Notice that despite being a thief, Ignatz is currently holding an axe, not a sword. The axe's extra might, and its immunity to Swordbreaker, encourage both cavaliers to go after Leone. Raphael finally gets his chance to open a door. This also unlocks the gate to the left, so Lawrence can now run in there to fight that dark mage. First, Lysithea kills the archer. Her newfound fire spell makes this pretty reliable. Lawrence is in no particular rush to kill this dark mage. His fire spell lets him milk 4 rounds of combat out of this confrontation. Balthus takes the time to heal himself. Byleth can do that too, if he and Raphael are both wounded. Lysithea will only be able to help one of them next turn.
Thank you!
Cyril has just enough power to kill this archer with 2 shots from his forged iron bow on enemy phase, plus 1 cur shot now. A heavier bow would have been dangerous. It would get him doubled by the mages, and there's no one around to switch him back afterward. In the control room, it just so happens that nobody stayed in Ignatz's way. I did my best to engineer this, but I know from experience that enemy behavior can vary depending on the relative stats of the 3 units here. The important thing is that no one is blocking the way immediately in front of him, so Hilda is able to fly ahead and pick someone off. For her part, Leone chips in with her bow and then seals off the Western Cavalier. Now Ignatz can run up, take the steel bow from Hilda, and use it to finish off the horseman below.
I'll press on.
While Lawrence continues duking it out with the Dark Mage, my other 4 units march toward the boss.
That helps.
Raphael is in danger here, but in a second, Byleth will have him covered. By using the training bow, Byleth wounds but does not kill the Myrmidon, who will once again use his weapon instead of his gambit because Byleth can't fight back. The same is true for the nearby mage.
I'm not hurt too bad.
Cyril steps back to use curve shot against the mage across the wall. This opens up room for Marianne to get in some combat practice of her own. She has enough power to kill with 2 hits, one now and one on enemy phase. Hilda just waits here. She's in better shape than Leonie to continue fighting the remaining Cavalier, but I also need her to stay close to the north end of the room for more movement tech and to keep the Cavalier in the right spot. Meanwhile, Ignatz has just enough movement to get to the chest right now.
I'm still...
The priest up north moved slightly to heal the wounded Cavalier last turn. Now the wounded Myrmidon is already in his range, so he doesn't move again.
Let me at him.
I'm making Balthus use a bow from here so that Lysithea still has something to do on this turn. A little assist from a borrowed accuracy ring makes his shot much more reliable.
Thanks, pal.
Now Raphael can borrow the ring for his own purposes, and Rushing Blow traps the mage against the wall. Having defeated a Dark Mage in single combat, Lawrence now warps across the map. He's wounded, so I make Marianne heal him up. Cyril just starts running toward the boss room. I would love for Ignatz to steal the priest's magic staff in 2 turns. The problem is that he was a full 12 spaces away from where Ignatz started this turn, and Ignatz doesn't have that kind of range, but reposition makes up the difference. As a bonus, he's now close enough to chip in against the other horsemen. And similarly, Lawrence has just enough range to grab the kill. Just because she can, Hilda moves Ignatz a further 2 spaces. If the priest hadn't moved earlier, perhaps because Leonie had missed the Cavalier so that he wasn't wounded, Ignatz would still be able to reach him now. Raphael gets hit by Onslaught, but that's no problem at all. Lysithea and Raphael combined have enough power to kill the mage, and the accuracy ring makes it a sure thing. Byleth kills the closest Dark Mage on his own, saving Raphael from certain death.
Roar.
By temporarily staying on the warp pad across the wall, Ignatz provides a gambit boost for Hilda. She's also got the Golden Deer bracelet, and I made sure she equipped her mace so that she could deal significant damage to the stunned armored knight on enemy phase. Lawrence takes this opportunity to heal Leonie. She's holding the chest key, so she follows Hilda and contributes a little damage of her own. Meanwhile, with yet another use of drawback, Miriam gives a movement boost to Cyril.
Let's get to it.
Now Ignatz steals the Sath. As usual, this enemy healer prefers healing a wounded teammate to attacking any of my units. Lysithea heals Byleth, but I decide in a moment that I could do this in a better order. The objective on this map is to defeat the Death Knight or to rout every other enemy. If you're aiming to do the former, you have to be careful not to accidentally do the latter. This stationary Dark Mage kind of helps, because you can just ignore him while you open the door on the final turn. But I'm taking him out now, so I'll have to leave someone else alive later.
I got this.
A shove from Raphael moves Lysithea down so that she can now reach Byleth to heal him after his attack. Now she can switch his weapon. I don't want him to fight the mage across the wall. He's too strong, so he'll kill the one holding the second magic staff. But I have enough time while waiting for the rest of my team to arrive that he can just sit here and tank a hit or two. Another drawback helps Cyril get closer to the end. This also indirectly helps Marianne, opening up room for her to move her full 4 spaces while still getting a heal in. Hilda kills the knight. She can't use a warp tile with Canto, so she just waits on it. With the enemy out of the way, Leonie picks up the March Ring. This is an incredible item. You can pull some real shenanigans with +1 movement that's treatable. Thanks to Lawrence's assistance, Cyril can reach the warp tile and join Balthus. The two of them together take down the priest.
Ready anytime.
Ignatz warps back, hot on their heels. The Dark Mage's attack gives Byleth and Petra some free class experience.
Well done.
I'm trying to send Balthus down to battle the mages with his bow. He has a bow weakness, but he can make the most of fighters' boost bow skills during his limited time in the class.
That helps.
Raphael waits here just to give Lawrence someone to heal when he warps over.
Sorry.
You don't auto-equip items that you get from chests, so you have to remember to make Leonie put on that ring she found. However, this will be moot because she's never going to use the full 8 movement.
Stay focused.
I'm almost ready to storm the Death Knight's chamber. I just need to get most of my team into position so that Leonie can give them all one last stride. The most important things are that Byleth and Hilda have to be able to hit the Death Knight at melee range, Lysithea needs to reach him at 2 range, and Ignatz needs to steal the second magic staff from the mage. There's some planning that goes into all that. I need to form a cluster where everyone who needs the boost falls under Stride's diamond pattern, but one square next to the central unit is still open, so that Leonie can actually get in and use the gambit. Anyone who's standing right next to the door doesn't need the boost, though. Ignatz pushes Balthus so that he can now reach the tile the professor is currently standing on. Similarly, Raphael shoves Cyril to the south. After a heal from Lawrence, Cyril can now join that party going on at the wall. I plan to leave one of the mages alive on this map, so instead of targeting one of them, he shoots the Cavalier. I don't want either enemy mage to be directly behind the door next turn. Someone has to open that door, and Ignatz has to steal the staff, so things can get pretty clogged.
It could get rough.
By leaving Cyril and Balthus at the sides here, I can ensure that both mages move out of the way. Reposition gets Lawrence into the stride area.
Thanks.
Leonie donates the March Ring to Hilda. One more movement will help her fly up to the Death Knight's flanks. Raphael not only boosts Byleth's strength, he also becomes the central unit for Leonie to use Stride on. But I forgot one thing. He's still holding the accuracy ring.
I got this.
Thank you.
With that handed over, I'm ready to go. Leonie uses Stride on him, covering everyone but Marianne, Cyril, and Balthus.
Hey, thanks.
Who, me?
Marianne simply heals one last person. It doesn't matter who.
Appreciate that.
Remember when Cyril killed the archer that was in this room over the wall? He dropped another door key. Balthus takes it now and uses it to open the final door.
Ready anytime.
Ignat steals the second magic staff.
Stay focused.
Who, me?
I stand ready.
And then Byleth moves in to weaken the Death Knight. With his boosted strength, he can do a pretty hefty chunk of damage.
I'm not hurt too bad.
Unfortunately, a 19% crit ruins that attempt. But no worries, I can move someone else first, at the expense of a small number of experience points because Professor's guidance isn't available. Cyril goes in and kills the mage.
Feel like
Stay focused.
On the second attempt, not nice. I'm starting to regret burning that one divine pulse to pass over the accuracy ring. I could have tried without
not
it.
hurt too bad.
This time, at least, I think to have Cyril gather up the staves.
Feel like
I stand ready.
Lawrence takes them both, continuing the trade chain before he kills the Cavalier.
Stay focused.
We're now on a new random number for our last chance. Finally, a success.
Who, me?
Using her gambit, Hilda adds a little more chip damage.
Leave it to me.
Lysithea can take either the accuracy ring from Byleth or the magic staff from Lawrence, whichever is appropriate. In my case, Lysithea's damage is fine, so she needs the hit rate. Luna isn't Dark Spikes, but it's good enough for me. That's it for Chapter 6. We've got a couple more battle quests lined up as we prepare for the Battle of the Eagle and Lion and the end of the early game. Don't forget to subscribe. Lawrence, your little duel wasn't that impressive.